it's the show that's thanking you for the free seafood.
No, that's not
Why?
how we're starting today.
Why not?
Delicious crab cakes in my pregame
Maryland's
meal.
17th favorite
Jimmy's
restaurant.
favorite
That's not
never
true.
on the show.
I don't know.
Today's
It was
the-
awesome.
Today's
best
the-
crab cakes I've had
Okay,
from the DMV.
that's great, and that's why they send you free stuff, so they get these millions of
No,
dollars
it was
of advertising.
delicious. Well,
But can I, you know how you were supposed to start the show? Today is an important day in sports. Two of the greatest athletes ever, maybe wish him happy birthday.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods turning 49, 1 year away from the senior tour. LeBron turning 40.
I was saving that for the 4 o'clock hour.
That definitely should have been.
December
Real talk, that
30th,
should have been.
Tiger, LeBron, and Kovacs.
What a day.
How about that?
What a day.
What a day.
We start with an MVP statement
know.
from Josh. Bills crushed the Jets 40-14. 3 touchdowns, 2 passing, 1 on the ground for Josh Allen.
Almost 200 whole yards.
He didn't need it. He had 2 of these. Brew, the odds are Josh at 1, Lamar at 2, Saquon tied with Burrow at 3. Did Josh prove to you that he's the MVP?
Well, he did enough to hold off Lamar. Like, he's going to win it.
Oh.
I think we all feel pretty confident, I think, that he's going to win it. And I won't scream bloody murder when he does. You know, he's deserved. I think, oddly, Nick, and last year this wasn't the case, and most years this isn't the case. I think there are 3 guys that if any of them win it, obviously Josh, Lamar, and Saquon, I don't see how anybody can, act like it's a travesty. If Saquon even if he doesn't break the record, I mean, becoming the 9th player ever to run for 2,000 yards, obviously turning that team. I mean, they weren't a bad team.
Getting them out of the
but still,
funk.
right, they have been in a funk. He's the guy on that squad. Lamar, we know what he's done. And Josh has been fantastic. So I think he will win it, and I'm fine with it. Now, what I'm going to do, you guys know I'm an MVP voter for the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the criteria I use for my vote. I do have criteria. It's individual stats, team success, supporting cast, like who's helping you, historical precedent / impact, like what it means if you win it, what's the precedent that's already been set. And if you look at it,
you added them up for total points.
yes,
to do
so
it. Okay.
Josh does come out ahead.
Oh, that's
individual stats, Lamar's got that number 1,
Yep.
then Saquon. Team success, obviously Josh and Saquon tie for that, so I gave them each 2 points. Supporting cast, Josh, he's a one-man show. He wins that. Historical precedent, Nick, Lamar's last, because a lot of guys that have won, all the guys that have won at least 2 MVPs, none of them won their 3rd, or at least 3 MVPs. None won their 3rd before winning a championship.
Yeah.
And then Saquon, just as a running back, kind of reemerges in the back.
2,000 yards.
And Josh,
One of,
2,000 yards. And Josh,
I buy
he's
all that.
So by that standard, I think Josh.
How does the total points work?
I think the way it works
You got 3 for being in first.
You get 1 for
2
being in
for
3rd.
second, and 1 for being in
And
3rd.
for the tied for 1st is where the math gets, you know what I mean? You have to split that.
Gotcha.
So that's, I would imagine that's
I
how
gave
it
them
works.
2.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they each
I
got
thought it was
2.
like mini golf a little.
No,
bit.
you wanted a
Lowest.
first get you a better score.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's like a skins game golf, actually.
Gotcha.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
All right, so I buy all that. I also think, unlike last year, where last year it felt, you kept calling it a weird year because there wasn't any great candidates.
Right.
Like Dak had a really good resume and then played his worst ball in the worst moments at the end. Purdy had an awesome resume, as did his teammate, which hurt him. And then he had the 4-pick game.
And he was unique too, because he's not
Correct.
You know,
and
like
he had the 4-pick game. And then
top
Lamar,
player.
like Josh came on at the end of the year. Mahomes, had the worst year of his career. Burrow was hurt. And then Lamar ends up being, I don't want to say winning it by default, because that's unfair. But they were the best team. He played really well in the game against Purdy and won it. This year's the exact opposite of it. There are, in my opinion, 7 legitimate candidates.
Wow.
One of them we can just discount.
So are you saying, when you say 7, you mean that, because I said there are 3 that if they win it, you can't argue.
I think
You're
there are
saying 7
I think there are 7 guys that if they win it, you cannot raise a fuss.
Wow.
One of them is the guy who we all know is actually the most valuable player in the league, who's also on the best team, and also has won the last 2 Super Bowls, who people have just decided, I don't like the fact that he started slow even though they were winning, and so he's out. Fine, so be it.
He's not part of your 7?
No, well, he is part of the 7, but
Okay,
he's
in the
no
there
chance
would
of
be
winning
a huge stink, though.
Right,
if
and
he won
he
it, just because of the stats.
and he has no chance
Yeah.
of winning it. The other one
But he
is
is MVP.
the other one is a running back who I just don't think without the record is going to win it. I think there are 5 other quarterbacks you can make the case for. Saquon is like in a different category, and it's hard to compare the stats. And this is why I think we in the media do the MVP conversation a disservice by starting it too early. And when we start it in week 3, we all swear we know it's too early. We know this is silly. But if it were today, and then dies start to get cast and odds start to get set, and it is an award voted on by the media, and all of a sudden, with a month of football left, guys have been eliminated who shouldn't be eliminated. So I say all that to say this. There is a very compelling argument that if next Sunday night the Minnesota Vikings get the 1 seed and Sam Darnold plays well, that he is the league's most valuable player. A wildly compelling argument. Here are his numbers for the season. It's just his. Those are, by any metric, MVP caliber. Now, they
aren't the best of a quarterback.
But they are across the board better than the guy who is the betting favorite in Josh Allen. So we show you Josh Allen's numbers compared to Darnold's. Darnold has him cooked across the board, except for rushing touchdowns, where Josh absolutely annihilates him, which, again, those are valuable, but it's it's a different type of thing. And the reason I said 5 guys is because Burrow's numbers are unbelievable. I just said Darnold. You said Lamar and Josh.
The other one.
Well, the other one has to be Jared Goff.
Oh.
Because if Jared Goff, if they win it and they're 15-2, so here's my point.
You know the argument against Goff and Darnold. Darnold obviously has got his past to deal with, but they got so much more help. Now Lamar's got obviously Derrick Henry.
Joe Burrow's got quite a bit of help on offense.
Yeah, but when you think of the Detroit Lions, is Jared Goff the first guy you think of?
But that's where I'm saying I think it's a media. So here's my argument.
And same thing with Darnold.
I mean, Lamar has Derrick Henry's better than any weapon Jared Goff has. And while Justin Jefferson's the best receiver, Joe Burrow has the best duo of receivers. True. And Darnold, the best tackle, any of them has Penei Sewell, but the second best one's Christian Darrisaw. He's been out for 2 months. He was the Vikings left tackle, all pro caliber guy. He's been out. So here's the point I'm actually trying to make. Because
I thought you left the quarterback out.
Baker?
No. For an argument. I wouldn't vote for Jaden Daniels.
So I don't.
If we're throwing, I'm just saying he could be in the mix.
So I think that is.
I agree he shouldn't win it.
So here's the reason I said before the show that I was going to kind of throw a wrench in it. The argument. What is the argument against Darnold right now, other than he used to suck?
Because wide receivers are too good.
Player?
No, but so hold on. But Justin Jefferson is better than Jamar Chase, but it is close. They have 1 and 2 in the league,
that's
probably.
Arguable. You can argue that.
And listen, Jordan Addison, I like him a lot as a player. He is not head and shoulders better than other teams' number 2 options. Now, T. Higgins is clearly the best one. Mm-hmm. And some of what has helped Josh this year, I think you would agree, is people didn't think they were going to be that good. Yeah. People thought the Vikings were going to be awful. And it is not because the defense got the headlines early. It's been the offense.
It's true.
It's the argument. It's the reason you didn't have Purdy in the hunt last year. Now, Purdy did have the bad game against Lamar.
Yes.
And Darnold hasn't done that. But it was, as you were saying all year, Purdy wasn't their best player. Darnold's not their best player.
He's certainly not a better player than Justin Jefferson. He might be having the best year of anyone on the team. Justin Jefferson's year this year to me is not as good as Christian McCaffrey's last year. Justin Jefferson's having an awesome year, but not clearly the best receiver in football stats this year.
Probably because he doesn't have the quarterback.
Maybe, but the reason that I'm oddly passionate about a guy who I don't even fully believe in Darnold is if he were just in the mix prior to a few weeks ago, it'd be like, well, what did he do down the stretch? Well, they're fighting to stay alive for the 1 seed in the division, and he has the play of his life to Justin Jefferson against Seattle. the play we played all the time. What did he do the next week against Green Bay? Had one of the best games of his life. If they go 15-2 and they're the 1 seed, how does he not have a real argument?
So who do you think is the MVP?
Right now it's Josh, but if Darnold plays great and they get the 1 seed.
So you would have Darnold second, kind of?
No, I don't think there's a clear second. I think right now I am putting a ton of weight on Josh's win over the Chiefs and the play to beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs would be an undefeated team going for a three-peat. And, to me, that was the moment of the season. And the only reason there was any type of drama in the AFC at all was because they won that game. And so, to me, that is the tiebreaker more than he doesn't have one. And I just
think, I think the biggest argument for Josh is we didn't expect. You did. You thought they'd be good. Most people didn't think they'd be good this year.
That's true.
Some didn't even have them making the playoffs.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, Brew, you called this one. Saquon has a season-high 31 carries for 167 yards. Last game of the year will be home against the Giants. He needs 101 for the record. His offensive line, however, has differing opinions on going for it. Here's Lane Johnson, who's a fan of the 2,000 yards, which he got, and Jordan Mailata, who says, let's go for it. Should he go for it?
First of all, I was surprised at Lane Johnson's answer. I mean, credit to him for being honest, but I was surprised he was that strong, no. Yeah. We got 2,000. That's enough, right? Humor me for a moment, because I'm the elder statesman of this show.
Everybody knows that.
And I remember a time when this would not have even been a question. All right? Now, I'm going back, but I'm going to come up further. 1978, you know the famous George Gervin versus David Thompson for the scoring title.
Yeah.
Both of them had locked up. Both of them, their teams were had the second best record in the conference. So they had locked up their playoff berth. Yeah. But they're going for the scoring title. David Thompson goes out and scores 73 points early in the day. So Gervin goes out and scores 63. Now today, there'd be a discussion. Should they even play?
Basketball's different than football.
Well, let's go to football. Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. Because 1984 win. Eric Dickerson set this record. Okay? He broke O.J. Simpson's record of 2,003 yards, which O.J. did in 14 games. Yeah. He broke it in 15 games. Mm-hmm. So game 16, they were in the playoffs, the Rams, which Dickerson played for. They were playing the Niners, San Francisco, which was 15 or 14-1 at that point. Yeah. Had locked up the number 1 seed. Joe Montana, Dwight Clark, Roger Craig, all their stars for the Niners played the whole game. They're 14-1, number 1 seed's locked up, not even a thought of sitting out. Dickerson runs 26 times for 98 yards. He's already got the record, but they're in the playoffs. Yeah. We play. This is what we do. So honestly, and I get the argument. Look, if Saquon goes out there and plays and gets hurt, it's going to be just a monumental, terrible situation. But I would play him. And Nick.
So look, if he gets hurt, you won't say Nick Sirianni.
I'm not going to kill Sirianni because I'm saying play. I'm kind of like Wise. Look, I went back in history because you play. And I'm not even trying to start a big Jordan thing because he wasn't the only one, but he played 82 games. It wasn't like, we got the playoffs
right, but
wrapped
the
up.
NFL doesn't have a load management issue the way the NBA does. And in fairness, you know what none of those guys did? Play 17-game regular seasons.
That's a fair.
They played 16.
Right.
I mean, it's I get it because I don't think they should even went to 17.
Right.
For that reason. Let me just add this.
Please.
And I don't think Saquon does or should think this way because he's a player in the moment. But we're media, and we're going to be the ones talking about legacy and all of that stuff. Let's keep it real. And he should want a Super Bowl ring. I'd love for him to get a ring, and that's important. It's a team game, all that. That should be number 1. But for legacy of running backs,
that's right.
Breaking this record would be greater for his legacy than winning a Super Bowl. And again, I don't want him thinking this way. But we, on the outside, can say this. There were, Nick, 7 guys of the NFL's top 10 running backs ever when they named their top 100 players a few years ago. Of the 7 that played in the Super Bowl era, only 2 won Super Bowls. That was Walter Payton later in his career, Emmitt Smith.
Oh, Terrell Davis wasn't one of the top 100.
No,
top 10?
Eric Dickerson, who we're talking about, got the record. Never. Barry Sanders, Earl Campbell, O.J. Simpson, Gale Sayers. I could name Adrian Peterson, LaDainian Tomlinson. For a running back, it's your individual achievements.
The flip side is I thought Terrell Davis had to be on there in part because of what he did in the play. And that's my point.
There you go.
Yeah, but
he's not.
You
know what I mean?
On that. All right, so you go, because then I'm going to ask some questions.
I think it boils down to the pushback on it is it a little bit selfish? Is it a little bit of Saquon? I want to push back on the idea it's for the offensive line. Jordan Mailata said you want to do it. 2, it's for the team, a team that is very vibe-centric, that if the team can get Saquon to do it, he's a leader of our team. We did it for him. I think it's good vibes for the playoffs. I think it's good preparation for the playoffs. And 3, and this one is a stretch a bit. When Joe Shane decided to give him a low ball offer, Saquon, a lot of the conversation in Hard Knocks was, 27-year-old running back.
Yeah.
And it sunk the whole market for all running backs across the league. Not that comment, but that was the prevailing wisdom. For him to come out and say, you know what? Old running backs can still do it. He's doing it for every running back that is coming up with him. So I want him to go for it. And final thing for you about going for it, this is a stat that Josh had. This is what he did Week 7 at the Giants when they first played.
Oh, he crushed it early.
So Josh told me he got over 100 on his 13th carry. Yeah. Obviously, every game is different. Yeah.
But I mean, this was his best yards per
get in the first half.
So here's why I disagree with you guys substantially.
And you're the
first one is this, very quick, and this is going to put you in a rough spot. What are the Lions, Vikings, Rams, and the other NFC playoff teams hoping?
I mean that
he gets hurt?
No, no. Are they saying we hope Saquon sits and is fresh, and do they want him to play or not to play? Because I would argue all of the competition wants him to play, but okay, set that aside.
I would say not the Lions. The Lions have the same mindset. Like we're out here playing.
All right, so here's why I think it would be a irrational decision to do it. First one is you're the king of vibes. The Eagles' vibes right now on a scale of 1 to 100 are what?
They're at about 90. Josh, did we check it? 93.
93. Okay. So they're close to the top.
Yeah.
There is only, let's take injury out of it. Let's just remove injury. There's only one thing that can hurt the vibes.
Interesting. That is interesting.
Still needs 101 yards in a professional football game. Yep, we're going for it. We're going to go do it and not get it.
That would be amazing.
5 times this year, he hasn't gotten 100 yards. If he were 15 yards away, 30 yards away, even 50 yards away, you could guarantee it.
That's interesting.
No one has done the math on they are flying high. We had our goal. We reached it. We even pulled him from the game early. You know what? Let's go do it. And then the Giants say, we might lose this game 100-0, but we are putting 11. You're not getting this record. And so that is the
that might be from the top on down. Please.
The only thing that can hurt the Eagles' vibes is going for it and not getting it. And the other part of it is this. It is not with running backs just the injury risk. It is Saquon right now has 50 more carries than any season he's ever had. And he's about to start what he and the Eagles hope are 4 playoff games. So he's at 345 carries. That is more than anyone's had in a season other than Derrick Henry in the last decade. It would not be the rational thing. It has the downside of the injury potential and the downside of really deflating that we're going to have all these guys out there. You might not get it. Again, I think he'd be a favorite to get it, but it's not a lock. It's never a lock. You're going to get 100 yards. And they, to me, tipped their hand. They pulled it. His last touch was 11 minutes left in that game. If they kept him in and he's 40 away.
He had 31 carries. That's the most carries he had all year.
Right. So because they didn't want to run him 40. Okay, that's fine. But I just did those are the reasons.
That's an interesting take.
That I wouldn't do it.
I don't think the vibe thing is definitely real, but it's not a guarantee. They go out there, try to get it. He gets 87 yards. Okay, we tried, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's – let's go for this Super Bowl. He's healthy.
Yeah.
He's healthy. So let's go win this Super Bowl. That's more important.
The wear and tear.
I don't know if it's you make a point, but I don't know if it definitely is going to take away from their vibe.
I want him to get it.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.